Alright, so we're going to come to you guys with some little discussion here about 3 questions we think will be important this week, coming into the week 8 of the football season.
Week 9.
Week 9 of the football season. First question here is Houston Texans for real? I mean, every year they tell us they are, and they fall short right at the end. So what do you think, Berkeley? Are they for real?
I don't think they're for real in terms that they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think they're going to win this year by default, though, because the Indianapolis Colts, they lost Peyton Manning. They're clearly not, like, they're finished. We just forget about them. And the Tennessee Titans, they're keeping up with Houston. I don't think they're going to have what it takes to win that division. And we can forget about the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. So I like Houston by default this year. I think they are talented. They are one of the more explosive teams in the league. But this year seems one of those things like, Gary Kubiak, you have no excuse this year. You have the best team. There's no Peyton Manning in the AFC South. Why aren't you good? What reason do you have to lose?
I don't know about win by default. I mean, the Tennessee Titans are a pretty good team. And I believe one thing that makes a champion is they take advantage of opportunities placed to them. And there's a hell of an opportunity placed to the Houston Texans right now.
Definitely.
I think they know that, we know that, and I think in that locker room there's a belief that we're going to take advantage of this. I like how they look on paper. They've revamped their team. They push more to the running game. Aaron Foster's a monster. And I think they have the weapons to hurt people in the passing attack as well, too. And with Wade Phillips coming in and solidifying that defense, I think they have all the pieces to threaten some people in the playoffs.
But between me and you, if Peyton Manning was playing this year, this is the type of conversation we would have week 3. Is Houston for real? After their 3-0 start. If they had played in Indianapolis, I think they would have lost, and we would have seen, okay, Indy's probably going to win the division. Is Houston going to contend with it for a wild card? And to me, that's when the other teams slip in, like the Baltimores, the Jets. There's a lot of stout AFC teams that I think they're not better than Houston talent-wise, but I think when it really comes down to it, they find a way to get it done. And based on the past, Houston has always found a way at the end of the season to not get it done. I think the main difference this year is that they have no reason to lose. It doesn't make sense to lose this year.
I agree with you that it's their best opportunity, but I really do like this Houston team, and I think putting it by default is kind of degrading what they've built here. The fact that they're able to win without Andre Johnson shows that they're a lot more mature than they were a couple of years ago, and they're not one-dimensional anymore. But we'll move on to our next question: is should Jim Caldwell get fired? I mean, he's led the Colts to their worst start since they got Peyton Manning. And now they're in the running to get another quarterback in Andrew Luck. Really, what do you think, Berkeley? Should Caldwell get fired?
It's a tough one. He did lead the team. It's hard to fire a coach that was in the Super Bowl only 2 years ago. But to me, this whole breakdown after the Peyton Manning injury kind of shows the lack of control that he's had the whole time. It just further illustrates that to me. I think that, in my opinion, any coach can lead you to an 0-16 season. So, to me, Jim Caldwell, what have you done to prove that you deserve this job? You haven't really done anything. Yes, you did get the Super Bowl from the team that you inherited from Tony Dungy, but I don't think that's going to cut it. Personally, by football standards, I think he deserves to get fired. If the Colts ownership is going to make that decision at the end of the season, it remains to be seen. What do you think?
I sit on both sides of the fence on this one. Since we're talking about should he or will he, I think there's a good chance he will because there's so much expectations in Indianapolis, and they love their Colts. So I really think he's the first guy in line to get shot, and you got to blame somebody. But I think there's a lot more coaches that deserve to get fired more than Jim Caldwell, and I think Norv Turner's on the top of that list. I agree with you here on the 0-6 thing. What did he ever shown that anyone can go 0-6? But this team is built around Peyton Manning, and without Peyton Manning, they're a bunch of nobodies in blue uniforms. And I think that's coming to show. We have Austin Collie, who got picked out of the farm somewhere. We don't know where he came from. Reggie Wayne has disappeared. And the defense has shown that they can't put up a fight, and unless they have the lead, that they're not effective. So I do think Jim Caldwell, the things he could have maybe done differently, but I just don't think anyone could have done much of a better job, and I don't think anyone would have won more than 2 or 3 games with this team anyway.
My thing with the Colts, I think they've taken the Peyton Manning thing for granted over the last couple of years. They procrastinated on getting a backup QB. I mean, most teams, you should have had a better backup QB at this point than Curtis Painter. At least you should have a guy that can step in there and win you a few games, or at least a guy that Peyton Manning could take under his tutelage. So, but how much of that I put on the owners, on the Colts ownership and their management, I don't know, as opposed to the Caldwell factor. Is Caldwell working with the quarterbacks? What is he doing? How does he work with the offense? And how much we're seeing now, how much of an influence that Peyton Manning had on that offense. And personally, I believe most coaches, if you give them the Colts with Peyton Manning, they find a way to get to the playoffs. So, I mean, if you want to go in another direction,
why not? And I agree with you. Why not? I think what they should have really done is just put Peyton Manning with a clipboard and let him call the plays, because
I agree with that.
He's done it all the time. He's the leader on this team. I think anyone who doubts that he's less of a leader than Jim Caldwell is crazy. So I just really think he should be given another chance, because any outcome and any prediction made with the Colts is with Peyton Manning in mind, and anything else is just irrelevant, I think.
If he wins a game, I think he should be given another chance. 0-16, I would say fire him, though.
Yeah, you gotta fire. The 0-16, like I said, someone's gotta be the scapegoat.
Yeah.
So, I think fire him too.
From top to bottom.
Yeah, exactly. So last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pick our games of the week. And you want to start us off, Berkeley? What's your game of the week?
The game of the week, I'm going to have to go with the obvious one, the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a rematch of week 1 where we saw, shockingly, the Ravens blow out the Steelers. I think that these are